Yeah.
And again, we're back again, guys. And this time, we'll be speaking, on this episode, actually, we'll be speaking about, our quarterly car maintenance checkup, so to speak.
Yeah,
Now,
service.
Right. So this is now getting down to the nitty gritty. So in the previous episode, we spoke about, checking the oil, checking the coolant level, check the brake fluid level, check and clean wiper blades, check the windshield washer fluid, check the headlight, the bright and the dim, check the tire pressure, the tread, and the condition. Now, I learned a lot because, again, as we said, that's just mellow. All day, every day. Boom, boom, boom. Give it a little rev. Make sure the aisle and everything. Catch yourself. Right.
Movements.
No, not yet. Turn on the music. Let the music. Make sure I have the correct playlist.
AC percolate.
That buy me about 2 minutes, because if it's one thing I've learned, when you start the car and just mash and move, you let the car get like a warm, treat the car like how you would treat your significant other.
That's a guy.
You just have to make she warm up a little bit, he or she warm up a little bit, and then you move out. So right now we'll speak about the quarterly car maintenance check, right? Now, changing the oil. No, we all know it's very important to change the oil at least 3 to 4 times a year.
Yeah, every 3 months, every 4 months. Yeah.
Previously, we spoke about, just reading the manual to make sure you know what the oil is or what type of oil that your car
should be using.
Right. And then you can go to any dealer and you can decide if you want to, or when I say dealer, I mean
dealer or mechanic.
Mechanic, right. And decide if you want to use the super premium or the economical one.
Yeah.
They can explain to you, and you can use your Google to get a general understanding of the value of it. And also, you have to take into consideration your pockets as well, if you can afford to do it. Now, with changing the oil and changing the oil filter, how do one go about doing that? Or how do one make sure that it is done correctly, so to speak?
Trusted mechanic is where it starts. But if you're doing your own, for instance, maintenance schedule, or okay, the last time your service was X time, I need to service again 3 months from now.
Yeah.
The next thing would be most mechanics, or even anybody who does oil changes, will put a little sticker up in that top right-hand corner of the windshield.
With a
and it will give you the date
or mileage.
and or mileage.
Yeah.
So whichever comes first.
So this is the question for you now, because for me, I tend to go off of the mileage, right? Because why I go off of the mileage is because I don't drive it as much. So I'm not going to say, every 3 months under that, I'm going to service it. I'm going to say,
hey,
they say I could get this amount of mileage. So is it recommended to actually do it as it pertains to date, or is the mileage is fine? Because sometimes, remember, the car is sitting down as well too. Does that affect the oil, the filter as well too?
It does. Kind of, sort of. But I guess, as I said earlier in episode 2, I guess it has a lot to do more with conditions and where you're going. If you're using a dusty road. But I'll tell you something that I learned a couple of years ago. Short trips actually take more toll on your engine
wear and tear.
than a normal highway trip, 2-hour road trip, cruise control at 60 miles an hour. Start and stop constantly. The excessive idling, which can cause what you call fuel dilution, fuel ending up in your oil, degrading your oil because it's just there idling and not on the load, so it's not really burning it off.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that.
Especially
start
diesels.
and stop. Yeah, like for here, our conditions in Antigua are considered severe. We're not on no highway nowhere. We just starting and stopping. The heat, if you're going on a dusty road, or what we call a mall road, dusty environment.
Every other road.
we actually, you see this conversation? Yeah. I know I realize why I really wanted to do this podcast. You see you over there smiling, because we're just making the point for him that electric vehicles is the way to go. See the smiling, he's just like, yes, killer. You're talking about it, killer, because you're just giving me ammunition to speak about electric vehicles. But I honestly, I mean, from an engineering standpoint, again, we all have, here been in that field. Thinking about it, that does make sense. The starting and stopping.
Yeah,
man,
it's more toll on the engine.
Like in my maintenance book, it specifically says the more city traffic or start and stop situations your vehicle is, you want to increase the number of times you change the oil. I cannot afford to do that with that
That's not
truck.
impressions from the people. Given the truck that you have, man.
Right? But it actually says it takes into consideration idle time. So hence you can check to see what's your idle time. And there's also your actual mileage. So you may want to consider all three situations, especially if you have a diesel vehicle. Maintaining a diesel is a different beast from a gasoline, a regular petrol.
And that right there we would decide. That's a good topic as well too.
Yeah.
How you maintain a diesel vehicle as it pertains to how you maintain
so even an oil change is much different.
Yeah. I think we spoke about that a little bit in episode 1.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I serviced my truck, I'm like, wall and filter, what is diesel filter, oil filter?
Water separator.
Some use 2 diesel filters.
Yeah.
So you end up needing 3 filters, and if you're changing the air filter, that's a 4th filter.
Listen, I feel like I should have just gone to school and just study mechanic, bro. Honestly, because the amount of cars in Antigua compared to when we were growing up now, mechanics are swimming, swimming. So moving on from oil filters and oil, let's talk about the fan belt, inspecting the fan belt. No, again, from an ignorant standpoint and a novice standpoint, the only time I think the fan belt needs changing is you guys are going to know what I'm going to say.
When it's squeaking.
Of course. When you hear that embarrassing sound.
There's the other part to it too. Well, once again, it's more than the fan belt. When I say it's more than the fan belt.
Huh?
If you have
all the engines.
Yeah, serpentine.
Yeah, right? Yeah. All the engines, like, for instance, my partner have a backhoe.
Yeah.
And when you see his backhoe, you open the hood, you see the engine in there, and the engine has this prop that's kind of connected to the radiator. So once the engine on and the crank is rotating, then that fan is rotating, right? And that belt is what you would call the fan belt.
Yeah.
In modern vehicles, you don't really have that, no. It's serpentine belts.
Yeah.
Which runs the water pump, and if you have a power steering pump and all them different things. Yeah. Or if you have maybe something in like late 90s, early 2000s, you might have 3 separate belts.
Yeah.
You might have one belt for your AC, you might have one belt for your water pump, you might have another belt.
Yeah, that's true.
So the fan belt is like what we call squeezy. We call all dishwashing liquid squeezy.
Yeah, it's just a term.
Right? But you have all sorts of different belts on a vehicle.
Because what I used to do, hey, I kind of embarrass myself on this podcast, but hey, so you go sometimes. What I used to do,
ain't no
once I hear this, again, listen, I'm going to say this, right? I don't know why I think squeezy is the
ultimate resolution
it's like
to everything.
A sticking plaster for everything car. Once I hear the squeaking, I throw some squeezy in the water, shake that up, get the
soap. You throw squeezy on the belt?
Yes.
Oh my word.
And listen, the squeaking will stop.
Up until the belt busts.
For like a 2 days, and then
until it comes back.
again. Yes.
And it might come back louder too.
Yeah.
It does actually. But it buy me 2 days.
And you start rat.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't do that.
You know, you have to go and check this.
But you can buy you 2 days,
person.
but I wouldn't recommend it. Until you hear
how does belt dressing work? I don't really know. Some people just buy something called belt dressing and spray on it, and I'm sure if you're supposed to tighten up the belt. Because usually when it's making sounds is when it's getting loose, no?
Yeah, it's more like grease.
Make it tighter?
It's like a foam thing you kind of have seen people use. I've never really used it before.
It's a chemical that has properties that sort of gives longevity to the belt, to the rubber.
Okay. Conditions it.
Yeah, condition it. It's because every rubber surface, without moisture, it dries out, it gets brittle, it bursts. And
go use belt dressing and wipe a blaze now.
No.
Good catch, killer.
Please don't. But that's generally it. But the thing is about belts aren't designed to last the life of a vehicle. So even if you check your maintenance schedule, and if you do it according to the book, you will change your belt long before there's an issue. Because it's going to tell you to change your belt after X amount of miles, or within a year and a half, 2 years, within your first real big maintenance overhaul, just change your belt.
So really and truly, the maintenance, the car manual is very important.
It is.
So it's not just something to show off when you get a new vehicle.
It has good information.
Yeah, you should read it.
If I do a poll right now and ask majority of the people if they ever read any car
How about we make another thing? Comment down below.
Yeah.
Yes
that
or
is
no,
true.
you've read your car
car
manual.
Who want bet we can have like 85, 95% no's?
Bro,
Even I don't, to be honest.
I have never
I'm that
read. Matter of fact, let me retract that.
I'm that nerd.
I have never seen a car manual in my entire
I opened one.
I can go and show you mine right now.
I opened mine because I had a car that came in and I was looking for the code to unlock the deck, to unlock the stereo. It wasn't even for anything maintenance wise.
So wait, so you were one of those that try and fail
with which one?
with your car?
Oh, try to get it unlocked?
No, as in
Something
if anything
wrong?
go wrong with your car, then you go in open and then fool around until you figure it out.
Boy, I probably had my fair share of that in the early, to be honest.
I am the complete opposite.
Yeah, probably
You
had my
make
fair
sure you
share
go
of
do
that
the
in early.
research.
If something is wrong on my vehicle,
Yeah.
I go for the manual and I sit down
And go through.
and I take my time page by page.
Listen,
and I
I'm not
read.
supposed to be on the camera, but big up my brother. That's a level of respect because you have time for waste.
Literally.
I had a quick call somebody, yo, you know how this work? Bam, bam, bam.
Let me big you up too.
I've,
You know you make sense. You know some more.
I've gone as far as locating on a forum shop manuals for my vehicles.
Hey, let's not move on to this topic, boy. You're over.
Well, it depends on the
It takes
severity
place-
where you're doing it.
It takes place some
Because
people,
yeah, if you're
mean-
pulling down an engine or something, hell yeah.
Okay,
you
that's
don't want a shot manual.
I've done it to change. What was it? I think it was the switch, one of the mechanism in the window, in
So
the
hold
door.
on. So you're saying let's be clear. So you're saying that if you read your manual and understand that manual enough, you won't necessarily need to. I mean, you might need a mechanic because you have the tools and maybe have the know-how. But if it's not as technical as the problem is,
Then you won't need a
then
mechanic?
you can then solve it on your own if you have the know-how a little bit or just the general understanding.
If you have some basic
Yeah.
tools and so,
You need tools. Tools are
if
important.
you have some basic
So you
tools.
can't just have the manual and say I'm going to do this.
yeah, obviously, bro.
So and
I
in
mean-
some instances, so like the manual for the truck,
Yeah.
they will show you a Ford tool that essentially only Ford dealers will have.
So you'd have to go and purchase that.
So you either have to purchase it or you have to carry it to a mechanic that has the tool or something similar.
That's how the
because
dealers make money.
yeah,
keep
but
money.
enough.
it only helps you to keep the car to a certain standard. But mechanics are important. You won't be able to do everything
That
just
is
from your
true. That
manual.
is true. Yeah. Checking the battery and the cables. Now, the battery again.
Yeah.
Listen, I think this podcast is really embarrassing.
So when the light come on,
I wonder, like, come on, when the can't start, that's when the battery want change.
the light will come on then.
But I afraid him with like no.
I know, right?
Because one of them time your eye light will come on, right? And you go cry, you know.
Oh no, if for one
For
thing,
real?
the
Anytime the
car
highlight come
service on time.
Just turn up.
They're different colors, eh? And if you notice the eye light red
Just
means
turn up.
stop.
Turn up.
Right?
Then no move.
If your eye light come on, it could be red. If your engine check light come on, it's amber.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so caution.
You know-
But the lights there that are red. If it's overheating and you don't have a regular gauge, a red light comes on. So you see red,
Yeah.
turn up.
Because
Stop.
I was just about to say you give me too much credit because you assume that I know what's the eye light.
No, you just need colors.
Well, once a red light come on your dashboard, turn up. Even if you
Colours.
drive off and your hand leave up, you realize that light red?
Yeah, that's
Colors.
That means that, yeah, we have a
You
problem.
bad.
Yeah.
There was a car here, I think,
Houston?
that somebody took up from a car wash,
Yeah.
little segue,
Yeah.
went up Factory Road, and he ended up catching a fire. The man drive all the way up the road, thief out the car, I think, for some car wash,
Yeah.
drive all the way up the road
Handbrake
with the
off?
handbrake off.
Ah,
And your car can catch a fire like that?
It ended up,
Brakes,
yeah, it's heat, no,
Oh,
it's
yeah, that's
friction, no,
true,
your
yeah,
rear
yeah.
wheel's locking up, but you're straining off the engine
The
driving.
engine, right.
And I
I'm
guess
sure he
whatever
was,
ignited somehow,
and I'm sure he was under some pressure as well to
man,
pushing the
thief
driving
out,
fast. Or
you know,
something.
thief on like a driving, go up the road and, yeah.
I mean, operating a vehicle, we take it for granted that operating a vehicle correctly keeps you and the vehicle alive.
Yeah.
So why are we, when we go to get our license and when you teach how the machine go part, why they don't give us at least the basic? I think that should be a thing now, let's be real. I mean, again, it's a slight segue from the battery, but we're going to get back to that. Think about it, guys, because majority of the people in Antigua, especially in the Caribbean, all we know is we go to driving school,
Yep.
Left, right.
Hand signals.
I still don't understand why they're saying that 10 to whatever, because as soon as you get a license, one hand on the steering. Nah. Exactly. So I don't understand why.
3:15.
But we're still doing that. And at the end of the day, half of the people don't understand, like, the car needs to be maintained.
Yeah.
But then again, that's why we're here. This podcast, because
again, context is important. So in countries where you have a lot of snow, Canada, European countries where you have a lot of snowy weather, as part of it, you're learning to drive. You have to know how to deal with black ice and the car losing control and getting the car out of a drift. Being able to handle your vehicle in that sort of emergency scenario. Yeah. And in some places, they will, give you some basic tips when you're learning as to how to maintain your car in different conditions versus ice versus summer. Make sure you have on chains and that kind of stuff. Things that we will never have to think about.
Hey, again, kudos that there's no way in Antigua that you can learn how to not no, we have the track crowd, but no, learn how to take all these things into consideration, because it creates an avenue for us to have these healthy discussions here, right? Because again, goes back down to why we started this podcast, because we realize that a lot of problems are happening and
people just don't know.
They just don't know. And again, it's not to take any work from the mechanics or anything, but it's just to people to be more aware when they do go to exactly, because these are very simple things that you can avoid. Like myself, by stop using squeezy to solve everything for the car.
Yeah,
that's just my go-to.
Don't let it leave the kitchen.
Like when
dishes only.
I like that. Don't let it leave the kitchen. Like when old people say when you get sick, they say, "Hey, just drink liquor tea." For me, hey, just show liquor squeezy some water.
I just sort out.
Right. So back to the battery. So as you said, the light will come on. How long should a battery last, generally? I know I heard commercials saying, lifetime warranty. I don't believe in anything with the lifetime warranty.
Depends, man.
To the car.
Based on usage, but a battery should be able to get you anywhere between a year to 3 years.
Yeah.
Now, somebody who, a busman or a taxi man, versus somebody who just drives to work and back.
Right.
The battery is going to go through a lot more cycles.
Right.
What you see now is a lot of maintenance-free batteries.
True.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you used to buy like a battery water, screw off and top up each one, make sure your battery water level good and so.
Yeah.
Right now, it's basically all maintenance-free batteries out there. So you don't have to worry about the maintenance of it, but it should be at least checked and tested every time you're doing a service. So every 3 to 4 months. Yeah. Right?
So we talk about so after a little bit after the batteries, now we go to like power steering fluid and automatic transmission fluid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Power steering fluid. We did say, but in the first podcast that not so much now. No?
Yeah, some of them, most of the newer vehicles now electric power steering.
Right.
So
not
you
so
don't even
much,
really, you might not even see a power steering fluid reservoir when you pop your bonnet. No. Right.
But if you
do have it,
right.
Yeah, you top it up. I know what might be famous here that gives some issues. I know, Mello had his issues with the CL7 Accord. Mm-hmm. You find that the CRVs, which has the same engine that the CL7 Accord would have, as well as the CRVs and the step wagons, those tend to have like a power steering pump issue.
Okay.
They use power steering fluid and tend to have an issue where they either leak, so you have to top them up often, or you might hear them making a particular sound.
Right. The sound is what I have to do. But listen, for me, no knock on any Honda fans, can never again.
Get a vehicle with the window wind up. Don't ever get a vehicle with the window wind up. Yeah.
Listen to me. I'm not saying I would never drive a Honda again, but I would never drive a CL9 ever again.
You just get, the right one. Just bad luck.
I love the sound, the look, the horn, the aesthetic. Very luxury. When you sit in that car, if it's one thing I could tell you about the Honda, bro, Honda just make you just feel like
attention to detail.
Yeah, man. You just feel like a vibe, bro. But that engine, bro, OUT side. If me drive fast, I'm gonna lock off the AC. Make no sense to me, bro.
I hear you.
That's just me personally. To each his own. I don't know how some people do
I mean,
it, like killer.
These aren't modern day car issues anymore.
But that's true. But I'm just talking about, if somebody that's going to buy a used car,
this
is something you need to take into consideration.
No more the research. Pitfalls.
Right. Go online. I didn't do any research. Again, for me, it's mash and go. So that's why I stick more on the Toyota side, because it's a little bit more rugged.
They're a little stronger, man. They're more durable.
I feel like when Toyota make the vehicle, they find out somebody like me and
the mash and go people.
When Honda making the vehicle, they look for somebody like Killer. Alright, take your time, bro. Easy. Get the girls. Go out cruise,
make a flex.
So we talk about the power steering fluid, the automatic transmission fluid.
Yes.
No,
ATF.
We did speak about that in the first podcast where we spoke about the situation where the Honda Fit have that issue. So we won't stick on that too long because we went into detail in that. So you can just go back and watch that episode. But what I wanted to ask you is for the manual. Is it the same thing? Do they have a manual?
Yes, they're two different things. So for automatic transmission, you have the ATF, automatic transmission fluid.
Yeah.
And for manual, you'd use gear oil.
Yeah.
It'd be two different things. So gear oil.
Is it the same, like just...
Different makeup. A ATF, a transmission fluid, tends to be lighter in viscosity.
Yeah.
It would be more of a water type viscosity or thickness versus maybe gear oil being more of a squeezy type viscosity. It would be much thicker, right?
Yeah.
So. But in the first episode we did mention about the flushing. Is it the same thing for the manual transmission when you
same service intervals? As a matter of fact, to be honest, I think transmissions and gearboxes tend to be something that's overlooked quite often. I don't think people, most times you go and do a service, I doubt they even check. People only tend to check those things when things come up with them. That's what I find in my personal experience. So unless you're having a transmission shudder or you're having a hard time putting in a gear, things don't happen.
Yeah, that's a really bad situation.
For whatever reason, I find that it's overlooked quite often, but it's something that should be checked, and it's something that should be routinely checked as well.
Because growing up, I grew up in a village where they had a lot of bus drivers, so to speak, right? And it's all growing up, I've always heard them, I'm gonna have to drop the gearbox because it's slipping or it's like
clutch issues.
But mostly like the gearbox issue. Now going to first gear, it's not going to third gear. And then when they do that, they take it down. They always have to say, maintain it properly. So as you Killer said, it seems like a huge issue around these parts.
And I think the transmission maintenance schedule, if you again read that manual, if you read that manual, you realize that most often the transmission is on a slightly different maintenance schedule from the regular schedule. Again, depending on the type of vehicle, the type of transmission. And then what people don't realize is transmissions aren't generally unique to your vehicle. You'd have a type of transmission that is common throughout a series of vehicles or engines and so forth. And so you may have multiple engines that have used this particular transmission because it is robust for the type and so forth. And then based on that usage and so forth, the maintenance will differ. And then, again, changing transmission fluid actually isn't a difficult thing. It's just that people don't do it. So, simple thing as taking out the dipstick, if you have one, for your transmission. You just take it, you check it, make sure it's not all dark. And like heavy-duty vehicles, some of the transmissions have filters, have magnets in them for any small shavings that the magnet will hold those shavings and stop it from circulating.
Again, at the end of the day, they are gears, right?
Yeah.
And it's like clack, 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 clack. So at metal, so at some time they get started, right?
Yeah.
I'm happy that I was mentioned the heavy-duty vehicles too, because if you have a pickup, a truck, and you're towing stuff, and you're pulling load, it's more load on your engine, and your engine oil, but also more load on your transmission. So that also would accelerate the maintenance schedule.
Exactly.
Because now, I have a boat I go out every weekend, so I tow in how much 1,000 pounds behind there. Can't go for the same man who driving a Vitz to work and come back.
You gotta bring up the maintenance schedule. Have to. Nice. And always make sure you get the correct fluids.
Not squeezy, ladies and gentlemen.
And another thing you have to note on that, as we talk about maintenance, is check to see if there's any notice concerning your particular engine, transmission or fluid, because I've seen instances, recalls. I've seen instances where companies decide, this fluid that we used to recommend, because we've noticed an issue with everyone. We don't necessarily need to change the transmission. We just need to change the fluid that we recommended for it.
Correct. All right, nice. We're gonna continue on to the annual car maintenance. Now, this is more like, just a quick check.
More like a 30,000 mile setup.
Correct. Yeah. So now we're looking like the flushing the coolant, checking the spark plugs, change air cabin filter, change the engine air filter, lubricate doors and hinges. Listen, I don't know who's talking about lubricate doors and hinges.
No, real thing, man.
Does that?
I think that's on a 30K. The dealers call that a 30K. So I think when you get to 30,000 miles, they would generally do that. They use white lithium grease and spray the door hinges.
I do that.
You do that?
Plugs should be checked like every third service.
You're a car nerd.
Different types of plugs as well.
Yeah.
Iridium plugs.
As in terms of spark plugs.
Yeah.
No, let's
is another thing.
Let's touch the spark plugs just a little bit. No, I know some spark plugs actually have some gold spark plugs, right?
Gold box, NGK GP series, I think, comes in a gold box.
Oh, so it's the box.
Yeah.
Box.
Again, it doesn't mind people business.
Yeah. That was spark plug is not gold.
Right. Okay, then just be clear, because me just go for say. I just
I'd
wanted
be
you guys
wearing
to.
A spark plug on, man.
I just wanted you guys to confirm. Someone can go and choose one in the place, go buy about $10 of spark plug, and can't have a jeweler go
meltdown.
Right. Yeah. So they're performance spark plugs, so to speak. How often do you change your spark plugs? Is it a case where low power? Right?
Rule of thumb would be you actually should check it every third service. But there are a couple different types of spark plugs now. The standard ordinary spark plug, you probably should change it every third service. But plenty of vehicles now coming with iridium spark plugs.
Yeah.
Which means
iridium spark plugs, very different. They have a super fine tip.
Yeah.
They're quite expensive. They probably quadruple the cost of a standard spark plug, but they last a lot longer. They give you more consistent spark, better spark, probably better fuel mileage because you have more consistent ignition and proper combustion and burning and so. So I think most vehicles, 09 come up now have iridium plugs.
Yeah, new technology. I mean, spark plugs back then is really a totally different ballgame from spark plugs now. If you even consider moving from carburetors to fuel injection, is that kind of delta, that kind of difference between regular spark plugs and getting to most modern vehicles coming to iridium. The maintenance necessary on those is far less for that said reason, because more and more manufacturers don't actually want mechanics opening their engines.
Wanting to come back to the dealer.
So they're doing as much as they can to ensure that you have less things to change on that.
Well, I have it up because I can't already Caribbean because I have a bus down.
You know that?
Tell you. Yeah, 6 months with that car, and I can figure out the whole entire engine and figure out the way how we can fix that car.
Yeah.
Next topic, change the air cabin filter and the engine air filter. Now, again, from a mash and go person, once you're a mash and go type of do like me, you can run into all these problems I've run into. Now, I went to Naja and be like, yo, listen, the AC now blow cold, something wrong with the air inside this here, my nose gets stuffy, whatever the case may
cabin
be.
filter.
Naja just tell me, hey, just go buy this filter, come back. I was like, wait, what? Wait, hold on.
$25.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, just cabin filter.
Open the glove compartment, listen for the LTs, and pull it down, boom, bam, bam, pull out that, change the filter, bloop, AC blow cold, air smell fresh. I did not know that was a thing. Yeah,
just the cabin filter. I mean, it literally just filters air coming into the cabin.
Fair enough. I just didn't know it was a thing.
It's not as serious here as it is in other places that have air pollution.
Okay.
Right? Or in desert regions, like Dubai, kind of place where man need for change and cabin filter every time they buy groceries.
Every 2 days. For me personally, I feel like every time I just see me walking, the guy just
money.
Say, man, mellow, come here,
money.
But I've learned a lot from him because he's not the type of mechanic to just like just take your money. You can tell me, Mello, you have to check these things.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Once you change it, you will tell me, listen, this do not change at this time. You don't have to come back here. Simple process. Just go and ask for this filter.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know the name of the filter, just I'm gonna show you how to take it out, open, take it out,
which is
show
good,
me, and then
much
you can.
people won't do that, because that's their bread.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
it builds a level of trust as well too.
Correct.
Sure.
My parallel when it kind of comes to filters is as simple as trying to breathe with with your mask on.
COVID.
You're like, it's so restricted.
Yeah.
You get where I'm coming from, and that's basically what will happen to the engine if the air filter is what you call plugged or clogged. It's not getting fresh airflow. As can go into the whole
science.
technical part, but you need the oxygen to help with combustion.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And
Fire
if
is not
that's-
possible without oxygen.
Exactly.
That is
If
true.
that's not coming in now, and then everything now computerized, so
Yeah.
it's reading that it's supposed to be getting a certain amount of air.
Yeah, but
It's
Checking
reading
ratio.
that the throttle pedal is pushed down, but it's not getting the adequate amount of air, but it's sending the fuel that it's supposed to.
And these sensors are gonna go
And
off.
normally what happens, you get a light.
Yep.
Check engine.
That
If I
that
want
light,
light- if I want
that
light-
light.
If I want light,
Mellow
me,
know about
if I
that.
want
Yeah,
light, me
yeah.
hate boy, that light. Boy.
The
This
nice
is the
thing-
light, the boy, me just so cheap.
The nice thing,
The funny thing about that light pops up at the most inconvenient
Yep.
of time.
why not?
Like, this is the time. Mellow on this move, yeah.
That light
right
like
now.
the devil, boss.
Why not?
Oh man.
But most modern vehicles will attempt to save themselves
Yeah.
and protect the engine if there is a check engine light. I'm going to what we call limp mode
Yeah.
for different reasons. Just in essence to get you to a point that you can now fix the problem, not to try and reset the computer for redo the problem over again. As some people would do. It's like, the vehicle limp mode, so I'm going to just
Take out the battery.
Take out the
turn it up for 30
battery,
seconds, put it back
put
on,
it back
reset
on.
everything on
So-
it.
Oh no, me learned them tricks a long time.
There for a
do
reason.
not.
Listen, you can say do not. When me the willy key and the check engine light come on, I need it to come out so I can get back to my house, please. So let me.
You might make it back when my engine too.
I can do that in the morning. The goal is to get back home.
We should think about that whole thing because there's a safety aspect to that.
How so?
Because you might say to yourself, this check engine light will hold me back.
Yeah,
So meaning forget on some speed, forget on quickly.
correct. Well, I would drive on the speed with the check engine.
I mean,
situation.
for argument's sake, a check engine light or limp mode might restrict you to 20 miles, 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, me need to go at least 30.
Yeah.
Some can at least get home. When I go fast, I'm just go 30. Just an extra 10.
That might be
What
enough,
is the-
you know.
An extra 10.
Extra 10.
And an
Extra
extra
10.
10 miles per hour,
Listen.
an extra 1,000 RPM,
Yeah.
done the
Yeah.
engine.
You saw like one of them persons that's doing
Murphy's Law.
illegal things. just need that little, just one more hit,
You know?
just one more hit. Whoop, jail,
Yeah.
grave,
Done. That's that.
Yeah.
bad health, or
Engine exploding,
Yeah, true.
headers gone, all them kind of things can go bad, you know what I mean?
Mellow the light, man. I want to share my one experience with lights. With
Oh
Mellow.
wow, you have
Right?
an experience with light.
So
You make us sound like a
time
payload.
before last, when I set up my car,
Yeah,
I was driving it home from English Harbour,
yeah.
and the light was kind of coming on and off, and I wasn't really sure why, right? Because when I took it to English Harbour, it was fine. I went and collected it. I figured it would be fine. Reach like Midway service station coming down, light come on. Reach by Licks, light come off. So like, okay, something weird, right? Only to find out that the parameters that the tuner had set up on it, when the engine coolant temperature got above, let's say like 220 degrees Fahrenheit,
Yeah.
it pulls back. It doesn't allow it to pass 4,000 RPM. It doesn't allow it to pass a certain miles an hour for the same reasons as mentioned. To save the engine, to save something catastrophic from happening.
So you pretty much were supposed to be
Correct.
cruising.
What I did not know is that there were premature signs of the head gasket going. And when your head gasket go, your temperature goes up. Your engine coolant temperature go up.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to shave your head and deck your block and have to
not,
replace this.
not only the
replace that.
temperature go up, but your money, your pocket, the expense go up too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Right? So that was my experience with it. And those same parameters is what probably helped it from getting worse.
Exactly.
Because maybe if it wasn't there, I would have boofs go down the road, heat up everything, need a new engine. I just replaced the head gasket. I think they just skim the head just to
Yeah.
be safe.
Yeah.
Talk back down, good again.
And everything's solid right now.
Good.
I mean, very weird things can happen when an engine starts to go bad on the speed. Things that you didn't really think could have happened would happen and just cause an accident. You know, like if the transmission starts to bind and wheels start to lock up, and then kind of thing, you lose traction, tire bite, you're in a skid all of a sudden. You can't control the vehicle because the throttle now work the way it's supposed to, the brakes now work.
So you're saying some of these accidents are not necessarily by persons driving recklessly, but it could be a situation.
I mean, there have been many accidents due to mechanical failure of the vehicle due to poor maintenance.
Many things can happen.
Yo, that's crazy. Because, you know, in Antigua, we say, as soon as somebody get an accident, oh, you have to drive fast. Sometimes, even when you tell the police themselves, officer, I was not speeding.
A young in a sports car, you were.
Yes, I don't understand what happened.
Yeah.
Police will your partner. You can't tell me that. I mean, don't see the skid mark in the road.
Something as simple as and the man tight your lug nuts properly. You could go 20 miles per hour and you look like you don't know 100 miles per hour accident. Because the wheel drop off.
Facts. Officers, I hope y'all are listening. So some of the people aren't lying. They're actually telling the truth. I was post something in the group maybe like a week ago, sometime last week, where, you know, one of the car wheels popped out, something that he saw on the road. Funny enough, this week I saw 2 cars.
One by Hadid Motors.
One, and then I saw another one in Barnsell. Surprising, not even surprising. I see a 9. The whole front
why?
So that's true, right?
Right, and that's within a week. And so, you said when you posted, I think you said this is a problem that seems to be happening.
Yeah, more
frequent.
Yeah.
But how do you not hear that? That is my question. Like the person just ignores it.
I don't know.
Is there not a sound that accompanies this?
It's never happened to me, so I don't know what are the things that are occurring in your vehicle.
But you must hear something.
I have 2 schools of thought.
Yeah.
One, either we are really not conscious of what's going on in our vehicles, because one of the things of maintaining a vehicle that we're doing here is listening. If you're a deaf person, you shouldn't be driving. Because you're not going to know anything going wrong in that vehicle.
Match and go.
Listen, we're not trying to be funny to anyone that's, you know, have a hearing.
You know?
But you need to hear.
Yes.
You need to hear what's going on in your vehicle. You need to know. Like, I would get in the vehicle and just stop because realize something doesn't sound right.
Oh, no, I do that often because, listen, because I've had a lot of experiences with cars, right? And I'm a mash and go type of person. I don't like to be inconvenienced, and I don't like a car breaking down on me at any point.
Nobody likes the car breaking down.
Right. So if I get a car today and I got it in a very good condition, I automatically train myself to know how this feels and get accustomed to that feeling. Because anytime that feels any type of way,
you know, something.
First instinct is to try to figure out what happened. Like even this morning, I drove out, and there's some twigs on the road from them cleaning the street, and it just felt off. Pull up hand lever, pull off the side, pull up hand lever, come outside. You see one of the branches under the car. It's alright.
Yeah,
pull it out, drive again, everything smells like alright. So it's like a relationship that you should have with your car, right?
You need to know how that car sounds.
So, but again, back to your schools of thought as it pertains to why you think, is it the infrastructure? Is it the case
that's one of my thoughts. I've never been anywhere else in the world
and
see
anything like that.
Axle broke off.
No, like frequently, bro.
Yeah.
Just a broke off.
No, I've seen it, but it never like really ready. That regular stuff. But when you posted that in the group and you say, this seemed to be something that's happening frequent, I was like, not more frequent than often.
Yeah, boy.
And then within that space of time, you posting to us recording today.
Twice, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So 3 times on episode 3.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. So
I passed one right by Hadid, and it was like, I'm not sure if it was right after he came over the speed bump, and the wheel literally just out there, man fending, so get damaged obviously too, because the whole thing
so that's more
blocked off.
Again.
And I'm just like, how does this happen? Do you not hear
we actually get to that point
leading up to it?
I see that point coming up.
You know?
What? Like figuring out what?
Inspect.
Oh yeah. Inspect steering and suspension.
So somebody just skipping over the year thing, skipping over the annual maintenance. So guys, this is why you should follow up and follow this list. So maybe we should even post the list in the description or something.
Post the list in the description.
All right. So at least they can look.
Go over that because good car killer, because that really makes sense. Because for me, like some of these things I'm looking at here, like the flushing the coolant and check spark plug, and I'm like, my dude, mash and go. And let's take into consideration, there's no offense to, I'm not trying to be so misogynistic in any way or anything like, but we have a lot. This was like an idea that I had. For me, if I was a mechanic, I'd call myself the female mechanic. Because there are a lot of female drivers that think, that I speak to, that think the exact same way. Like, listen, I'm mashing.
It should just work.
That's why majority of them buy new vehicles as opposed to used vehicles. Because used vehicles require a level of understanding.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go to a new car dealer,
warranty.
Not only warranty, but they are going to ensure that hey,
and they'll tell you, hey, car maintenance, bring it in.
That's why I respect her name is Lady Mechanic as well too. What's her correct name? She drives
either Reds or Jody.
Reds.
And they just have workshops too.
Right.
Yeah.
So they just
Lady Hospital.
Yeah. Lady Hospital, correct. That's the correct name for her. She used to have workshops where she invite females to come learn how to change tire,
good for the basics,
to understand what the engine is doing. And I have to give her a shout out because for me, I've never been, which I would like to go, but for me to go to one of those things where it's all females, I'd feel a tad bit embarrassed. So
that's good.
That's why we started this podcast, so I can learn indirectly. But she do post the videos and the things that she engage in on her pages and so on. So
and she races too.
Exactly. So I do, follow and learn a thing or two from her. And I ask a lot of questions.
Questions are important. That's where you get answers.
Clearly, because nobody can walk up and say, hey, my answer for something that you clearly did not ask for. But it's very important to, take into consideration these things, the annual check, the quarterly check, and maybe bi-weekly, weekly, or every 2 days, or if you have the time and somebody that cherishes your car enough and depend on your transportation, you should at least go to the daily and the weekly checks.
Develop a routine. That would be my recommendation. Develop a routine. Just like, you get up, you brush your teeth, you wash your skin, or whatever.
That's true.
Develop a routine, just walk around the car. Check your tires. Leave it a little soft.
Listen, growing up, I always asked my mom why she never bought a car. And she's like, because it's very easy to go in a purse and take out $2 and pay on bus.
True things.
True.
Because if your bus broke down, the next bus get everything.
Exactly right. Public transportation is a very important topic, but it's not this one.
No, that's true. But it is very important because, if you can deal with the slight inconvenience, we have to depend on somebody.
But if you think about like New York City living, nobody in New York really to kill out themselves for getting no transport. It's metro, subway, train, bus. Yeah. So, different circumstances.
That's true. Guys, another good episode once again. This is the Displacement Podcast where we talk about everything transportation. Right now we're focusing more on, the cars, making sure that we understand how they function. Right now we're talking about maintenance just to make sure that, you understand
all your checks.
Yeah. Do you want to slip in one more maintenance in that?
Sure, why not?
How do you maintain your EV, your electric vehicle? I didn't see anything on your list there for my electric vehicle.
Who cares about your electric vehicle? I'm joking. I'm all about sustainability. But no, just to briefly check on it, because that is true. We had a conversation once.
Yeah.
It's not as complex as the...
It really isn't. As a combustion engine, it isn't at all.
That's a good question, what do you do?
Yeah, quickly.
Just honestly, most of what happened for my...
Tires? Done?
Tires,
tires, that's it?
Outside of a proper service. Outside of a proper service, you're just doing what we call those daily, monthly stuff. Checking your tires, wipers, washer fluid.
1 or 2 filters here already.
No, you don't have any filters. Apart from the cabin filter, you don't have a filter.
But that's what I was talking about, the cabin filter.
You got order everything for
that. Your brakes last almost the life of the vehicle because...
Wow, that's crazy.
Bearing in mind...
That's what generates the stuff.
When the vehicle is slowing down, before the friction brake comes in, the motor is actually trying to recuperate that energy and decelerate. Wow. And so EVs don't change their brake pads as fast, right?
How much money do you spend on your EV servicing every month? $20?
Month?
Well, every year. How often do you
serviced it once since I've had it.
And you had a couple of years.
So that was
Ladies and
4 to
gentlemen.
5 years.
Ladies and gentlemen.
One service.
Ladies
How
and
long a
gentlemen.
charge lasts you?
A charge lasted about 3 days, a full
Wow.
charge. But one service, I think it was about $700, and I'll probably do that to get another.
I would like to know what's going on with the
another 4 years.
electricity bill, though.
Electricity bill, it costs, I'm not sure it costs now, but at the time I did the calculation, it's about $25 to $30 per full charge for my battery. $25 to
That's
$30
damn good.
for full charge. Give it about 3 days.
Especially now we're going on with fuel
3
prices.
days worth of range.
As I just yesterday I $100 in my car and he done no.
But right
I
now,
go old when I come back he done no.
yeah, right now we need to train. So yes, let me tell you, my bar has transport.
Now we need to have we need to dedicate a whole episode to you going to like maybe the next episode we need to dedicate to you talking about. Then again, I need a whole
You don't,
episode
because there's a lot of things.
A 15 minutes. Okay, he just paid $700
Exactly, that's
$700
it.
for how long? For 5 years.
Every 4 years there, about. And the only thing that really needed to change, it wasn't that bad, was the gear reduction fluid in the transmission, because it's a single gear. There's one gear, it's a single gear, because it goes forward or backward. There's no shifting. So there's the reduction fluid in that.
So let me ask you a question. What's the going price for a EV right now?
No, that's the thing that's amazing. So I've been doing a lot of research, looking at trying to get something new for the family that's growing, and then looking at what I have now, how much that costs now.
Yeah.
You can get a decent Nissan Leaf for $6,000 US, $7,000 US.
That's real good.
I spent $30 just to charge it.
Yeah.
How long does the charger stay?
Now, a charge, you have to take into consideration your mileage.
Correct.
So if you get a decent battery, so the battery has condition, right? So when you get your EV, you have to check the condition of the battery, see if it's full or if it has a few bars down.
Yeah.
More bars down it has, is the less range you're getting.
And that's what we're talking about, used one.
Right. So we gotta use one, even if as down as mine, where I've lost 3 bars, right? I'm only getting roughly 118, 115 kilometers.
That's damn good.
All right, on a full charge, right? That lasts.
And Antigua small.
Yeah, Antigua small. So if you get a set routine and you know how much miles you travel, you can easily calculate yourself. You know what? I really need for full charge my vehicle.
How long does it take to do a full charge? Like you plug it in overnight, just check it in the
So
morning?
if you have my vehicle, 110 would take you roughly, so they say, 10, 12 hours. They say,
Okay.
right? 220, 8 hours. Truth be told, I've found it really takes about 6.
Okay.
Right? Most times you're not going to run your vehicle flat.
Yeah, true.
By the time you get home, you got some charge left back, and you can plug it in overnight. If you plug it overnight, it go full in the morning.
Let me say this, right? When I go to sleep at night, I don't even plug in my phone. Bro.
So here's the thing.
So
I just forget sometimes.
These days,
So
so here's the thing. If we got 220, and this is the key. If I got 220, I charge my vehicle now, plug it in before I go get ready for bed in the morning, and by the time I'm ready for left the house, minutes to 8, I got enough charge for the day. And the following day if I feel. 3 hours.
What time you get? So like about 5 o'clock.
Nah, me probably plug that in 6:30. So
To get ready to leave from your home around.
minutes to 8 o'clock,
Wow.
and by 8 o'clock I'm getting enough charge for 2 days.
Wow.
Plus, bear in mind, I live close to town, so my commute isn't that bad. If I live further out, I'm gonna definitely have to charge it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I would say overnight, but at the end of the day.
Killer, I think we need to just stick to combustion engine for the racing.
And tell everyone. Because the next question I was about to ask, I think the government probably offering something for EV
Yeah.
vehicles too.
Incentives.
Yeah, so
Something off
You
the
don't pay.
environmental tax.
You don't pay no taxes when you.
Zero on the environmental. So you
no,
save.
this is what I paid to get it.
Kidding.
Killer. So
That's
what's your
not the information for this podcast.
What's your cousin name in the States? Because I think I can buy a Porsche.
I will tell you, Colin, yeah, boy, when you feeling good,
Yeah, yeah.
boy.
See if
I
I
just
get
go grammar school
Porsche.
too now.
I just drove it up.
Porsche, man.
Yeah, man,
I
I'm
drove
showing
it.
man some
That's
photos.
crazy,
What do you call it?
yeah.
The Taycan?
Yeah, the Taycan.
Ah, let me
is the
tell you.
Porsche.
No, we need to dedicate a whole entire episode to just
EVs. I mean, we
EVs,
can.
Yeah.
But maintenance.
But you can take the lead now, because if you're not me, killer, just ask the necessary questions, right?
No, I think if you look into
no, I need to look for two. Yeah. I think we're getting EV bicycle too.
Yeah, man.
I actually was going to buy one of those.
How what happened?
My wife told me can't use a bicycle for work.
Yeah, we need you. We need you to come home at the end of the day.
Wife like, no, let's try that one day. Let's try that one day. You got children.
Too far now.
You got children.
You
can't ride, go work.
Fair enough. Guys, again, this was another exciting episode. I hope you, the listening public, enjoyed it as well. This is the Displacement Podcast, where we talk about everything cars. Well, not everything solely about cars, but for now we're touching about cars. We're hopefully going to planes and boats and
everything
transportation wise. Thanks for listening. This is the Displacement Podcast. Well.